It all started one quiet night when I decided to go all out with Mom, lost in Oni of her endless phone calls upstairs. The house felt like it belonged to justice. I hopped onto Dad's lap in the living room, whispering silly secrets in his ear. He said the safety guidelines claimed it wasn't safe still. I kissed him. He kissed him back in that very house where I played with dolls and begged for Betty Mestries. I kissed my father as if he were my lover. He yanked me onto the bed and ripped my clothes apart. I wrapped my legs around his waist, craving more. He reached into me pants, his soft finger massaging my hole. I was completely lost in that moment. I lost track of where I was. The feelings were amazing, the highlight of my life. I just had to go for it, to hit me with such intensity like he had been waiting for this moment forever. I'm Luna, I boldly seize whatever I desire. This is the story of how I tested the unthinkable. And if you're new here, yes, this is my channel. Welcome back. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. Hey, returning subscribers, thanks for dropping in. Let's dive in. I was raised in a cozy castle. Not your typical castle with stone towers or golden thrones, but a sleek suburban fortress in Portland featuring polished floors, designer furniture, and a walk-in closet larger than most bedrooms. Marcus and Clara built everything for me. I was handed the world on a silver platter. Dresses, phones, vacations, anything I wanted, I got. I didn't need to earn a thing. All I had to do was smile or pout, and everything fell into place. Maybe that's where it started. The idea that I could have anyone, even him, possibly excessive school, was no different. Teachers boosted my grades beyond what I earned. The boys idolized men. Girls were jealous of me. I knew how to command a room, shifting the atmosphere with just a whisper or a touch. I had no shame about it. I craved power and I loved every moment of it. At home, it was a whole different story, more perilous. Dad was always a looker, had that classic look. Tall, strong arms, a voice like gravel and velvet, had thrived in returning home, radiating success as a kid. He'd spin me around and call me his girl. I would laugh and dissolve in his embrace, but something shifted after I turned 18. His hugs lingered longer, felt different, like he wasn't just holding his daughter anymore. I spotted things. His gaze held steady as I strolled into the kitchen, wearing nothing but a shirt. His hands lingered just a moment too long on my shoulder. He never crossed the line, always stayed within bounds. I could feel it. The tension was palpable. The intrigue. It was as if he doubted who I'd turn into. Kuwaba wasn't either. Mom was always on the go, constantly hitting up charity events, yoga sessions, and girls' dinners. She loved me, absolutely. I think she trusted me a bit too much. Maybe she just put too much trust in Dad. The house gradually became ours, just him and me. Maybe I imagined it at first, maybe not. But it began as a tiny spark. I'd strut around in snug shorts bent too far. While picking something up, ask him if he thinks I look stunning in my new dress. Initially, he'd just shake his head and act like I was being ridiculous. I caught the flickering his eyes. I brushed past him in the hallway, and his breath hitched. That's when it hit me. He was on the same wavelength, the line we were never meant to cross. It was already a blur. On evening, I strolled into the living room, clad only in his button-down shirt. He lounged on the couch, engrossed in a book. I played it cool like it was nothing, snagged a soda from the fridge, and popped down next to him. His body stiffened. He avoided my gaze. What's up? I curled my legs under me. You should put something on, Luna hesitated. Why? I tilted my head, fainting. I've rocked a swimsuit before. That's unique. I leaned in. Really? No responses. Tooted up and bolted out of the room. That was a tempting one. I waited for Mom to head out to her weekend spa retreat. This time, everything was set. Winning dim lights. I invited Dad to catch a movie with me. I said, I'm Mazur time together. He sat next to me, tense and cautious. I laughed way too loud. I brushed his knee as I leaned in to refill his glass. Midway through the movie, I leaned on his shoulder, feel body hum like a live wire beneath my cheek. You're drunk, he whispered. No, prime lit. Feeling great, had jumped up and headed to bed. Anno their setback, but he was breaking down. Bold move on the third attempt. Sunday morning vibes. Mom was at church. I figured Dad would be in the den, lost in a book. I strolled in, clad only in lace underwear and a tank top. So sheer it was practically see-through. I grasped at his coffee mug tightly and leaned in to pass it to him. Morning, I chimed cheerfully. He glanced up and stopped-headed in his tracks. His gaze slid down me body, landing on my thighs. He closed his eyes and turned away. Get dressed. No, why not? I joked. Are you not impressed by what you see? His jaw tightened. I am your father. You missaid the question. I perched on his lap. He let me go, and that was just the start. No kiss that day. Left it untouched since then. But then, everything shifted. I could see it in his eyes. A hunger, heckled, no longer concealed. He dashed out of the room. The silence crackled with It happened 3 days later. Mom's gone again, in the kitchen barefoot, grooving to tunes, while whipping up a midnight snack. Dad walked in, donning his robe, bedhead alert. You need to be in bed, he said. You definitely should. He moved in closer. Stayed put, locked eyes, and held the moment. He kissed me. It was awkward, unsure, absolutely real. Once that line was crossed, there was no turning back. That night, he led me to the living room couch and claimed me. Definitely not his daughter, his lady. The next morning, Wes stayed silent. About it, we exchanged a glance, a mix of shame and excitement between us. I figured it wouldn't there, just one terrible blunder, but it failed to do so. We plunged in waves, dragging us down. That was a mistake. Twisted, we just couldn't halt. I really didn't want to. Once you savor the forbidden, nothing else matters. That first night with Dad flipped everything upside down. It's not out there, it's within us. We crossed a line and, instead of recoiling, we trudged forward. I woke up the next morning wrapped in his arms, his breath warm against my neck. Silence reigned, no words, no awkward apologies. A storm is brewing, not fading away. I returned tummy room just before dawn. Mom was still snoozing. I quickly brushed my hair in front of the mirror and flashed a smile. No guilt here, no sign of life. I felt unstoppable, stunning. Adored men are redrawn to what ignites their passion in dead. I sparked feelings in him that Mom hadn't in years. It began to occur more frequently. I'd sneak into his room late at night. Whether she was home or not, silence reigned between us. No need to. He had given up. He's mine now. I knew exactly how to keep him. I'd rock his favorite colors, cook for him when Mom was swamped, crack up at his silly jokes, perch on his lap. Asterisk feigning interest in my phone. I once left a hickey on his neck, hustled on makeup, hoping to hide it from Mom, but she caught on. He claimed it was a burn from a curling iron. She trusted him. She always trusted him. He could see the confusion in her eyes. Her gaze on him as he doubled over at me jokes was electric, or glare when he pulled out a chair for me. Leaving her standing was intense. She sensed it, the change. She had no idea how deep it really went. We didn't either. One night, I went all out. Mom was upstairs deep in a long phone call. I hopped onto Dodd's lap in the living room, whispering silly secrets in his ear. He said, "Stop." He claimed it was unsafe, saying ill. I kissed him. He kissed me back, and suddenly in that very house where I once played with dolls and begged for bed, I was crossing a line I could never uncross and pleaded for bed. I kissed my father as if he were my lover. As soon as I heard Mom's footsteps, I sprang up and dashed into Tut's hallway. Spent days fixing his hirand, straightening his shirt. She bursting a second later, her eyes darting between us, as if she could sense the truth, but lacked the words to express it. She stayed silent, just hit the kitchen. We nearly got caught, but the excitement, it just fueled our desire for more. It had evolved beyond mere list, a hidden realm, a twisted parades, ours alone. Let's meet in the garage, the laundry room, his workspace. I yanked him into the pantry while Mom was busy setting the table. Just 5 minutes. Auto lines, a wicked smile. Wooer, addicts fueling each other's cravings. I felt him sinking further. His text became bolder. His stares lingered. One day, I discovered a new necklace on me bed. No note, no explanation needed. A simple gift. I rocked it at dinner. Mom loved it. Dad nearly choked on his wine. I grinned. Then cracks began to appear. He fired off questions. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling after their night together. "What's the plan?" he inquired. I just shrugged, having a blast together. "This isn't right, Luna. Just stop." He just couldn't. Sometimes he'd gaze at me, a deep chain his eyes, as if regretted ever giving in. I knew better that ache and not guilt. It was pure hunger. He was Alan. He craved me like a fix. What about me? I was riding the wave of control. Well, let our guard down messy. I slipped on his shirt for breakfast and Mom's gaze locked onto me for a whole minute. It came from the laundry basket. I said she was silent, but I could see her mid-dressing. She began keeping a closer eye on us. No more frequent outings. Cancel yoga classes. Weekend retreat consult. Her eyes tracked us as if we were strangers, donning her family's faces. Next, the mistake happened. Sunday had arrived and I'd just returned from the store, cracking up over a silly joke I told in the car. I grabbed Hishond instinctively. Way too familiar. Way too soft. Mom caught it. She paused before responding. She simply observed. She knew, and I knew it. That night, Dad burst into my room. He stayed fully dressed. He never laid a finger on me. He sat on the edge of my bed, face ashen. She's beginning to have her doubt, she said. I kept silent. This can't last indefinitely. I shut up, feeling scared as he whispered. I leaned in my finger, grazing his knee, chose a side. He glanced my way. The silence between us thickened. His face reflected the struggle between who he once was and who we had made him. But he stayed in my room that night. That's when I realized he had made his decision. Mom might have sensed the storm brewing. She might have caught the signs picked up. The whisper sensed the betrayal in the air. But it too late. We were done hiding. We were immersed in it. The silence after Mom left hit me like a freight train. Silence reigns above. No voice calls from the kitchen. No clink of her wine glass post dinner. Silence. We were left alone to face the truth. Dad went silent for days. He hardly touched his food. He glided through the house like a phantom dot. It was as if the walls were strangers to him. Now I did. It felt liberated. When she left, I thought it proved I was right that I had won. But the silence she left behind, it felt heavier than I expected. I took what I wanted. No one was left to hold me back. I was always heart of this house. I was the queen, ruling a shattered kingdom. Quickly elicits thrill. In the first week I focused in getting him back into our groove. I'd rock his favorite perfume, wooden my robe, just a bit more. As I walked by, he brushed my hand against his shoulder. Headley glanced my way. He'd sit in the living room for hours, fixated on old family photos, as if they might spring to life and guide him. Why the long fuss? One night, I leaned in wearing just a tank top and lace panties and asked him, "She's gone. Isn't that exactly what you wanted?" No response. I pressed on. She never knew. You, not the way. I do. He finally faced me. His eyes were empty. That's the issue. For the first time, I was at a loss for words. It shattered my wife, he declared. I lost control. You kept going and I let you. You were unstoppable. No, he said softly. I really should have. Yakrak formed within me, regretting it now. I let out a sharp hiss. She's gone and I'm still here. He averted his gaze. I approached him, took his face in my hands. This, Dad, was your choice. You picked me. I was weak, he whispered. You loved it. His hands clamped around my wrists. Not tough, just steady. This love, he declared. It never was. He locked eyes with him. What was it that broke free? I'm lost. The next morning, a suitcase awaited me by the door. Him full to the brim. Said. I freaked out where to next. Stood in the doorway, heart racing, wearing his sweatshirt. I'm getting help, he said. I've been chatting with a counselor. I'm Devin Ginto, a retreat time to level up what's in it for me. He gazed at me, a sadness in his eyes that was new and striking. Luna, you need help, too. Beyond what Ty can offer, perhaps more than any O'Neill's can rage surge beneath my skin. You're really just walking away after it all. I've already lost my wife, he said. I can't lose myself either. And just like that, he was gone. The door slammed shut, leaving me alone. Completely. Absolutely not, Mom. Absolutely not, Dad. A house brimming with echoes and secrets. Untouched and unspoken time flew by. Then, weeks fly by. I called him. No response. Reached out to Mom. Zero. Zip nada. The house. Chilled dust piled up in the corners. No more perfume for me. Gave upon brushing my hair. Some mornings I barely left my bed. I believed I could take it on. I didn't need them. I sweared it, despite all my games and power. I was still just a girl with no one to play with. One afternoon, I stumbled upon a photo hidden in the drawer next to Dad's bed. We stood by the lake soaking up the summer sun. Mom's hand rests on Dad's back. I wrapped my arms around them both. We seemed thrilled. complete. I gazed at it intently, till right in, too. No tears fell, no tears shed, but I felt a crack inside. That echoed pain, but refused to amend. Months later, the house is Stillman. It just doesn't feel like home anymore. Mere shell, haunted by a terrible past. Mom never returned. Dad sending postcards from the treatment center. They're brief, respectful, far away. He now signs them. Marcus, not Dad. It's been ages since he left. I often find myself in the den, the birthplace of it all. I trace my fingers over the couch, where I first straddled him, where I first whispered secrets a daughter should never share. Did I stop what he have to? But then, I realized I didn't want to quit. Didn't either. That's the reality. We both face stain. Well, just paint over it. The decay below keeps spreading. What about this house? It might endure, but it will never be spotless again. Wet-urged, a family. Now we're surrounded by smoke. Mom's breakdown happened on a still day way. Too quiet, it kicked off like any other morning. Sunlight burst through the windows, birds chirped outside, blissfully unaware of the decalicking within our home. I glided down in a satin robe, humming a tune. Dad was already in the kitchen brewing coffee. Glanced up as I walked in, eyes darting over me with that familiar look. Guilt, desire collide. But something was definitely off. Mom was missing from her usual chair. Her coffee cup remained empty. The air is devoid of her perfume. I never asked. I couldn't. Careless. The house felt like was already mine. Good morning, I whispered as I brushed past Dad, fingers gliding over his back. He took his time to respond. Next, Luna, this needs to end now. I pause, blink, and turn to him. Why not? She heard him say it in a low voice. Or, she's nearly there. I can sense it. I chuckled quietly. All right. She's not strong. She's not taking any action. He looked at me as if I were a complete stranger. Absolutely chilling. Yet he stayed put as I leaned in for a soft kiss. Yet they kissed me back. That was it. Hellways kissed me right back. Little did he know Mom had been awake for hours just upstairs. I had no idea she overheard us last night. The floorboards creaked softly outside her door. Muffled whispers reached my ears. Those giggle-soft silence that roared betrayal. For weeks, she had spotted the signs, but now she was aware she stayed up until noon. Her face was ghostly white. It felt like all the color had vanished. She avoided my gaze. She plopped down on the couch. She folded her hands in her lap. I stood in the doorway, cool and collected, self-assured. Hey Mom. Everything good? Take a seat, she whispered. I shot a quick look at Dad. He stood frozen, trapped behind her coffee mug, quivering in his hand. Here comes Luna. I strode into the room and took a seat across from her. Crossed legs, the rope slipped off my shoulder a bit. She held her gaze, steady. I craved the truth. She gazed right through me. Everything. I wasn't pretending to misunderstand which truth. I mentioned it just to see how things would go. Her lips formed a tight line. Stop. Pretending you don't. You think I haven't noticed your gazing on him. His gaze is electric. I've noticed the stains on your sheets. Fragrance lingers in my bed. I'm no fool. Dad moved in Clara. Silence. Chestnut. Her voice shaking. Eyes shot back to mine. What's up, Luna? Are you in bed with your dad? Chill swept through the air. Dad let the mug slip from his hands. It crashed to the floor. Hot coffee splashed across tiles. Everyone stayed still. I tilted my head. Want me to lie? She recoiled. That wasn't the answer needed. The silence lingered endlessly. Dad collapsed into the armchair, utterly drained. Mom just gaped. What about me? I stayed focused. How could you do that? She whispered at last. He's your dad. Absolutely not. Cool voice, I said. He's your man. You simply lost the spark to keep him engaged. She hit me, challenging. My cheek burned. Booty stood my ground. I smiled. Got it, he whispered. Your true self. Her eyes brimmed with tears. She faced Dad. What's the time frame? He stayed silent. What's the time frame? She let out a piercing scream. He buried his face in his hands, disintegrating like paper. Months, she gasped and stumbled back as if he'd struck her. I poured my all into you, she wept. This family is yours now. This place, you wrecked it. My bad, he murmured. You went for it anyway. She let out a piercing shriek alongside her. Her voice broke. She glanced at us. Eyes as wide as if we were unrecognized. She burst into laughter. A killing, fractured laughter to call apple eyes. She wiped tears from her face. I'm going to take you both down. Not, a can'ts, cool as ice. I said you adored him way too much. What about me? You never truly had control over me, did you? That shattered her. She fell silent. She glided up upstairs like a phantom. She returned on her later, dragging the suitcase behind her. Dad jumped up, bewildered. Clara shot him one final glance. Your decision is made. She shot me a glance. Her eyes were lifeless. You're not my kid. She burst through the front. Marcus, just like that, she vanished. Keep it calm. No tossing items around. No last-minute requests. Only silence and the heaviness of her actions. Dad stood still for what felt like ages. This isn't what I wanted, he finally said, his voice hollow, almost like he was just thinking out loud. But neither of us had stopped it when Westall could. But you didn't hold either, I murmured. He glanced my way and I caught it. Missed chances, disgrace. Something's breaking deep within, yet he still didn't ask me to go. He still didn't declare it was over. We had obliterated her, and we stood. Ever found yourself in a situation like this? I get it. Your mind's racing with possibilities. What action did you take? Subscribe, like, and smash that notification bell for more exciting stories like this.